So finally, we are here in Thailand, and we're drinking our Shenpo we just made on our T4S project. And I had an idea because we started conversating with Dennis a lot about his experience and how you began with the tea. Maybe tell your story.
After the pandemic started,
Yeah,
you know, when we had back in wave one and everything
Yeah.
was shut down and we were all staying at home and
yeah.
trying
Crazy.
to stay busy,
Yeah,
I ended up actually being successfully busy, very busy.
yeah.
For a while, helping some volunteer stuff and doing some, you know, university and doing the work and all that. But then I ran out of university and volunteer stuff, and so suddenly I had a vacuum
I see.
space in my day that needed to be filled.
So you actually have kind of a feeling that you have something to do, but you have to do not too much.
And then I thought to myself, what should a Danish person who has come to England, the capital of Western tea culture, do?
Yeah.
Start a tea company because they've mucked it up.
You tried all of these, I do believe, and you just don't find a good tea, or?
There are some good teas and there are some good companies.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, when you go out to like a restaurant or a cafe, or you go out and about in your day, it's all like PG tips, or like cheap back tea.
I see. CDC actually.
CDC, it's all CTC, like super generic tea. It's blended from like Kenya, Assam, China, anywhere they can get it for cheap enough. So they can stuff it in a supermarket and sell it for like 5p a bag.
But still, it's like, it's not, it's not something what you're actually seeking for if you want a good loose, if you want to have a tea experience, how to say. But how did you met the kind of more quality tea, and how did you get started?
Originally, I started, you know, doing the research of like how do you actually start a tea business in the UK, and it turns out there's a couple of big wholesalers that most companies use, primarily coffee companies. So a lot of the like small coffee companies, they will go and they'll get some wholesale tea and slap their label on it, so they can also offer tea, because when people are buying coffee from you, you might as well also give them some tea.
I see.
But it's the same sort of free wholesalers, and after a while you can start to taste like, oh, okay, this coffee company got their tea from like this or that company.
I see.
And then I had this weird flashback to a moment when I was up in Scotland, up in the Royal Museum of Scotland, on a sort of roof terrace having afternoon tea. And I thought to myself, there was like, damn, this is really good tea. And at the time, I was having a guest with me from America, and her dress had a bit of a malfunction and sort of started to fall apart. So while they were off repairing that and sorting that out, I was talking to the staff about what tea suppliers they use. And I found their supplier, who's like not the most wildly known guy, but he makes really good teas, like family business in Sri Lanka, like 3 generations of tea makers, and he works with a lot of the local estates down there.
You're Sri Lankan originally, yeah?
Yeah, his family is Sri Lankan, and he now also works with like British hotels and restaurants and, you know, like really high quality places. And so I was like, I reached out to him and I got in contact with him and was like, can I import some of your tea? So I can go off to like these local places and I can actually help them do the whole tea thing properly.
Actually, it's very interesting that I'm not familiar with, I'm familiar but very shortly with Sri Lankan tea, a little bit more with Indian tea, but the interesting thing that just this year, in the beginning of the year, I just tried some actually good Sri Lankan tea, but it's a still area which needs to be discovered. But
there's a lot of fraud with Ceylon. So for those who don't know, Ceylon and Sri Lanka is the same thing. It's different names used at different periods of time. But there's a lot of fraud because Ceylon is a very internationally known sort of word or branding or like statement, like piece of value in the tea world.
So there's a Ceylon tea, like
there's a lot of Ceylon tea which is not actually Ceylon tea. It's like cheap black tea from China or India.
Wow, whatever.
And they just put Ceylon on it because
you have a brand.
They can get away with it.
So what you can say literally about the British tea culture? What is it?
British tea culture, I think, is more about the habits and the culture and the behavior than it is about the tea. Doesn't matter to them, really. Like, it must be good tea. To them, it's that they can go out and put the kettle on. Oh, they get someone that comes and visits them. Would you like a cup of tea? I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
It's like a behavior.
It's like a behavior. It's so deeply ingrained that I was in a British first aid course, and they take you through the first 5 steps of like, make sure that people are like screaming and shouting so you know they're alive, and poke them if they're not, and like as clear airways, the standard first aid stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, they're like, and now we segue into psychological first aid, like dealing with shock and stuff. And the first thing you got to do is go and put the kettle on.
I see.
Put a cup of tea in their hand, because that's just how the British work.
So it doesn't matter what kind of tea, just some hot cup of hot something.
Cup of hot something. They throw a dash of milk and 3 sugars in it and call it a day, and then they can't taste the tea anyway.
Ah, wow.
And so one of the things I do, and I go and give them an alternative.
But literally, do you found that you have, of course, mostly British clients, and because you locate in Britain, but how do people react when they meet with quality loose leaf tea? What's the feel? Have even white teas and some more like not mass market teas at all. How do they react as a British who have a habit and behavior to bring this mug of milk and sugar stuff?
So I get people who barely know about loose leaf tea because it's such a, it's like you don't wake up and question why apples fall to the ground, apples just fall to the ground.
Yeah.
You don't think about it because it's such a part of their everyday life that they never think about it. Some people think it's a very posh or very expensive thing, and loose leaf tea is expensive.
Yeah.
So I go and talk to them about that, and it's like, actually, no, you can do it pretty cheaply. You re-steep it, you get more out of the tea. Life's good.
Yeah,
Like you can just make it at home, and like I've converted coffee drinkers because tea wasn't strong enough for them.
I see.
And so I give them some proper black loose leaf tea, and suddenly that's strong enough for them.
Actually, I do believe that it's even more important to convert these coffee drinkers to tea, because actually, from my personal experience, we just participated in Ghent in Belgium at the big Horeca Expo, and we offered, I really brewed maybe a few thousands of cups, small cups of tea, to a lot of people around, and those who refuse, they mostly saying only one phrase: "Oh no, I'm coffee drinker." I just literally, okay, you're a coffee drinker, that means that tea is not a thing for you, or what? Because I think there's a problem that they just don't know what's the tea in it, and they just don't have even idea how tea can be tasty if it's good tea. Or
it's like, I think this metaphor is going to work especially well for the Italians out there. But imagine the UK as a country whose only familiarity with pizza is like the frozen cardboard pizza you get in supermarkets.
I see.
That's basically the pizza they know, the tea they know, is that frozen cardboard pizza you get in the supermarket. And then you go and give them like a stone-baked sourdough base, like really nice pizza with proper mozzarella. And that's like real tea. And suddenly it's like,
whoa, yeah, so we feel it like, what is it?
And now I go home and that's actually, can I just like, it's not that difficult to get.
Yeah.
It's like you can just get a pack of it, and I get people that come back to me and ask, because I've done tea tastings around the places, can I get some tea? And like, so even some coffee drinkers, and sometimes I just throw tea at them. So like, prove me wrong, go, try it, have fun, come back to me. And they come back to me and want more.
That's good. That's actually how it works. I just actually maybe proved what we already have for years, but what I literally want to say that so many people, when we talk about the scaling of tea businesses, doesn't matter our, there, whatever, and people just say, oh yeah, people not ready yet, we need to train them a lot, it's so difficult. I think that's not right. Just try and go, just do something, just spread the thing, just spread the word, just let them drink good quality tea, and we need to develop all the participants. We just talked to David actually from the STA, just the same thing, like we need a lot of active people, active vendors who do promote tea, not only like sell online or small shop, but also do with sessions, with ceremonies, with whatever, spreading, like make degustations, like to really bring this tea to the public.
And not just good tea, but also how easy it is. Because people see loose leaf tea as like, oh, you gotta have all this stuff, and it's like, oh, it's loose leaf and things, and why can't I just put a bag in? And it's like, Now, remind me how you make your coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
And you go with the espresso and you stamp it and you pour it in and you grind it and you put it in the thing and you steam the milk, and it's like, and how is taking tea from like jar, flip it open, in a bag, in a cup, done.
Yeah.
or in a metal strainer done.
Yeah. Even if guy wine or
It's like
teapot, it's like
2
okay.
steps. Coffee is like 11 steps, and I work with some cafes, and I help them get through it and sort of like train those new behaviors on how to like serve loose leaf tea. Still takes them a fraction of the time it takes to make like a coffee.
What you can say about the how to say the tea clubs or tea places in London, or we just discussed a little bit about the culture of
So they
these
have
places?
they associate the tea tradition, so the Western tea tradition is kind of associated with this afternoon tea. So they have a lot of places where they have afternoon tea, and sometimes a lot of those places will also like offer you champagne and other things, because again, it's not about the tea, it's about the tradition.
I see.
It's about the behavior, it's about the culture. And so if you go into London, you can find, of course you can find like more Eastern or Asian places that will offer you like Turkish tea or like more Eastern tea, but a lot of the British places like hotels, and even if you go to like there's smaller tea shops, and there's a couple like stall type tea shops around Borough Market, but then there's a really good tea shop called the Tea Exchange up near, I can't remember, it's like in the northeastern part of London. It's a property, and you go there and like, what is
You
their
can find
tea?
some Chinese tea also.
They have it all.
But still, it's only a few.
And still they serve it with scones. They still serve it with like scones. It's like,
You say that these new shops and they just it's still like just recently opened, not too long time ago. Or?
it's been around for some years. There's not a lot of like, of course you have the big shops that are established like Twinings, like Fortnum and Mason has this massive like 4 or 5 story building, and you go in there and they have, it's like a super store with, they have the whole top floor is like their tea salon. I think it's called the Diamond Tea Room or Platinum Tea Room or something. It's very high English, if you will. But they just associate this idea of going out and trying tea and having afternoon tea with the whole scones, jam, clotted cream.
I see. So there's still like nothing about Asian way, Asian feeling about.
I have yet to find a place in London that does something similar to what Moychay does in Amsterdam, where they bring you in and they give you the whole Eastern tea experience.
Yeah, but it's only a few. Like it's not a still not a familiar thing. Well, not like a popular thing. So.
Like gaiwans are mysterious instruments,
I see.
even though they're actually really convenient for making tea.
It's funny. It's a way. I like the story like that because I know what we can do for that, and so it's just like it's really. What is actually maybe just the last question, because I have a short like story. Thank you for saying about that, and maybe hopefully we will meet again in London. What is today? You actually went for first time on tea forest, kind of.
Yeah.
What is your kind of impression of?
Good Lord, it's steep.
Yeah.
No, my first impression is like the road is like we're climbing like 40, 50 degrees, like straight up a mountainside in the middle of a jungle. First time in a jungle as well, by the way. And I had this like slow realization on the way into the jungle that, I'm in a completely new ecosystem.
Yeah.
Better try to not get bitten by anything.
I see.
But you say it's very safe here.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then I come up into the tea forest, and I'm familiar with like when I picture like a tea estate, I get the like shrine like Indian, like Chinese, like tea plantations.
Yes.
And then I come here, and we're going into this ancient tea forest in the middle of a jungle, like off like mud, like basically roads carved into the clay of the hillside, and we climb up the side of this mountain.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like it's not nicely orderly lined like you might imagine. It's like we have a tree over here, we have a tree over here, we have a tree over here, and we go around like they climb around this mountainside, picking the leaves off these trees.
Yeah,
and it's actually a bit like, for me it was a bit like going on an expedition into the jungle to find like the source, the like
a
the true tea.
Yeah.
I should have brought the hat and the whip, and it's like
yeah. I see.
And yeah, it was really interesting. And like after this, you mentioned we're going back to have a look at some of the even older tea trees.
Yeah. We'll later go to the Valley village where we have like really old, 800 years, 1,000 years old. And also we go to the oldest tea trees here in Thailand, like 1,700, I do believe. It's like located in the jungle natural reserve. So we will go there later.
But yeah, and I hope the people at home who are drinking your tea understand that in order for that tea to get to them, somebody had to, go and set up a whole like operation and the factory where you prepare the tea, like off in the jungle, up in the mountains, and they have to go and climb these like forested like mountainsides, and they have to not just go and pick the tea, but they have to go and take care of this whole area to protect the tea plants, because
the final idea it was like tell about that shortly, like we just, as soon as we buy this land, it means that no one cut the trees, because if Thai people mostly not value these trees, they just cut it and grow something else. But now we can, luckily we already also start understand, and we just order some pickers to pick also their own land, forest, but mostly focus on the thing, but we also do kind of preservation of the tree. Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I think it was a good conversation, and we definitely meet again. You also see Dennis, I will put the link for his project in the description, and you will be in the UK and want to try some good tea from Dennis, also Sri Lankan, some special ones. You also do your own recipes. Also, you like to do your own blends, or
we have a few things in the work because we've had a lot of interest, and there are some teas that I want to make out of nostalgia for how I grew up with tea.
I see.
And last thing I gotta say is I do think it's really impressive, like the stance you're taking to the tea forest, not tea fields, not tea plantations, but you're going out and doing it in the forests.
Yeah.
I work, I have to do it indirectly through like charity projects like the Rainforest Trust, where they go off and they conserve like rainforests. But here it's like you're doing it at the same time.
Yeah. So, but this is a different way. Here they care about plantations, but they're just sharing the profits from the way you sell the tea, and this sharing the profits for preserving the jungles, like you said, this plantation.
Every time I sell tea for about so this year we went for a target of 40 square meters per gram of tea. We might play it a little bit safer next year, because this year was like I think we went up like 6 times as much this year as we did last year in terms of like how much we wanted to do.
That's good already. That's good plans.
But here the whole tea process and the tea operation and the like nature conservation is the same.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, guys, and hopefully we'll meet again. You'll meet again Dennis in my videos about our travel across Thailand, because we're traveling like a week here around, and we do some new experiences, and I'm really pleased to meet Dennis here, especially how actually we met, and just also passionate about tea, and we just join forces to do something better.
So randomly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.